All right, people, welcome back to Spacey Thoughts. It's been months, you know. Last time you saw me, it was July, and I was drinking wine because I was celebrating the successful reconnaissance of Pluto by the Dawn spacecraft. And I was apologizing at that time that it had been weeks since I'd last posted, so I guess I can't even apologize. It's been months, and I don't know. I kind of stopped doing it because life is busy. I've got kids and two jobs, and there's not a ton of viewership on these videos, but that's not to say I don't appreciate what I do have. So the views that I do have, I do appreciate, and I want to keep you guys satisfied. So I've decided to come back to it. Tomorrow's my birthday. I really enjoy doing these Spacey Thoughts things, and so I decided it was time to start doing them again. And I mean, obviously, the most significant thing that I have missed uh, in my absence, that I've missed talking about, is the announcement by NASA that there is flowing water on the surface of Mars. And if you know anything about this, which I'm sure you have to if you're interested in this stuff at all, there's not rivers or lakes or waterfalls. There is a seasonal trickling that comes out of these ridges and down the edge when it warms up enough. And they're extremely salty, briny flows that, as far as we know, aren't really that hospitable to life. But we've been surprised before, like with the hydrothermal vents here on Earth. So that's a big deal, and they made a big deal out of it. And then now, just today, another Mars announcement from NASA that they made a big deal building up to and had a big press conference about. They've had some pretty conclusive results from the use of the Maven spacecraft, which they sent out there, I think in 2013 they sent it off, and it's been doing its thing. And it's designed to study the magnetic properties of Mars as well as the particles in the upper atmosphere to try and understand atmosphere loss on Mars. And so the findings they announced today, or the conclusions that they announced today, were that Mars is currently losing atmosphere at about a pound per second, which sounds pretty crazy, but it's actually a very slow leak. And that rate of leakage does not explain the thinness of the atmosphere at this point. If that leak was consistent over the 4 billion years of Mars history, there should be a lot more atmosphere left. And so they've concluded that the whatever event caused the loss of Mars' magnetic field around 4 billion years ago caused a pretty sudden, dramatic loss of most of the missing atmosphere on Mars that we see. Happened all at once, kind of, and that's because the magnetic field protects a planet that has one from solar wind, which can strip away the atmosphere. So Mars suffered some great trauma, which caused its tectonics to stop working inside of the planet, which caused its magnetic field to no longer exist, which caused its atmosphere to be vulnerable. They've even witnessed recently, in recent years, auroras, northern lights as we would call them, because our magnetic field protects most of our planet and diverts most of the solar wind that's coming in to the north and south poles. But on Mars, without that magnetic field, you can see the aurora all over the place, which was kind of surprising to them because they hadn't really thought it through. And so it's pretty consistent, except once or twice a year about they have these tsunamis, they would say, as opposed to the regular tide, this is their metaphor, of solar wind, there's these tsunamis or mass coronal ejections. And they cause that rate of a pound per second to go up to, 10 times that amount or more, I can't remember. And just strip off a whole bunch. The solar particles enter the atmosphere. They strip electrons from atoms in the upper atmosphere, which causes a charged particle, which then just flies off into space. Or the solar particles just straight up hit particles and knock them out, the whole thing out, like a billiard ball. And so that's all really interesting. It's very interesting that around the same time that microbial life arose on Earth, we have this mass trauma to Mars and the loss of its viability. It's very interesting. So Mars just keeps pumping out interesting stuff. And honestly, that's probably enough for me to talk about right now. Maybe I'll post a second one where I catch up on some of the other things, because it's kind of hard to catch up on everything in the past months. But those 2 Mars discoveries are definitely the big ones. So, that being said, tune in for more Spacey Thoughts next time.